there, and welcome to Cityline. It is great to be in your home or your place of work, zooming from my kitchen, and yep, we have a great hour ahead of you. Later on, we'll be talking with the Tacoma Human Rights Commission. Their chair, Andre Jimenez, will be here to talk about what their goals are and what they are envisioning for the beautiful city of Tacoma when we think about equity and human rights. The sister city of Tacoma's will be here, and that will be Claire Petrich and Helen Milas. They're here to talk about their outreach, some of their sister cities, and how they've been adjusting to the pandemic. Tacoma City Association of Colored Women's will be here. Club Cynthia Tucker. I love Cynthia Tucker, and she is here brimming with excitement to talk about the Nettie Asbury property that they have just purchased, so you don't want to miss that. The Humane Society will be here with our Pet of the Week, and with me now is a very familiar face. She is everywhere in Tacoma, and she was just sworn in as a brand new council member for District 2. I'm talking about Council Member Rumbaugh. Welcome, my dear.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here, Amanda.
Well, it's great to have you here because this is your first time on Cityline as a council member. Of course, I've had the pleasure and privilege of working with you on the Human Rights Commission and also other organizations that we spend our time with. So when I say that you are everywhere, Sarah, you are everywhere. And from this moment on, I'm going to call you Council Member Rumbaugh. So first off, as I allude to some of the things that you and I have crossed paths with, tell us about your background for people who don't know you. How long have you been in Tacoma, and what do you do?
Well, I think my life kind of starts with my mom, who was a single mom. I grew up in Bellingham, and we grew up, she was single, so we were on welfare. I lived in public housing, which I think is a really important part of my story, is to understand where I came from. And not really understanding like how poor we were. The fact that she was going to Catholic Community Services to get me basketball shoes, and then I did what every teenager does. I didn't go out for the basketball team. I went out for the cross country team. But my mother really instilled with me the values that I have today. I ended up getting a cross country scholarship to Gonzaga University because education, I was always told, was the ticket in your life to change where you are today. And I very much believe that. And from there, I went and got a master's degree at Evergreen State College in environmental studies. And that sort of led me to Tacoma. So I was living in West Seattle. I ended up moving to Tacoma. I was working in politics for Adam Smith doing his fundraising. And I got involved in that because I cared about moms and where were moms in the conversations that we were having. They were nowhere. So I got involved and I actually got a job with him, which led me to my next position. I ended up helping who's now Congress member Marilyn Strickland run for mayor of the city of Tacoma. And then from there, I took my fundraising skills to nonprofits. And that's where I have met you, Amanda, is working in nonprofits, raising money for organizations we think are really important and valuable to our community. So that's sort of where I got started. And that's how I got to Tacoma. But once I got here, this is a wonderful city, and I love this city. And I behoove anybody out there that isn't doing something to get up and do something. But I think people listening to Cityline are already involved in our community.
Oh, thank you for that. They are, and we do our best to keep them engaged. Speaking of engagement, you were just elected to the Tacoma City Council in November of 2021. Huge congratulations for you. What inspired you to run? Because Councilmember Rumbaugh, you are the kind of person who, whatever you set your gaze to, you do well. I have seen that in the city of Tacoma, so I'm not speaking out of turn. So why Tacoma City Council? Because Tacoma is your oyster.
Right. I mentioned that I had done these political races, and I think when you're raising money for a politician, you're raising money for a cause, for a person, because you think they're going to make a difference for your community. Then from there, you get involved in these nonprofits like Associated Ministries, which I'm on the board, the chair, president of the board right now. And then you get involved in organizations like Rebuilding Hope, the Sexual Assault Center for Pierce County, who are doing great work helping survivors of sexual assault and sexual abuse. But you realize at some point, how effective are you being helping other people when maybe you could be that conduit? You could be the person to make that change. I ran for Pierce County Council. I came within 2,000 votes of my opponent. I thought that was great. Congress member Derek Kilmer said I ran a great race, and that just sat in my head. Like, he thought I did a great race. I think Derek Kilmer is an amazing person. And so I got asked by 17 people. They say it takes about 17 people for a woman to decide to run, and I decided to get in the race. I thought, why not? I think I could be that person. I could be the conduit to make the difference. And one of my superpowers, I think, is connecting. I like what I'm doing because I didn't realize this, but you get to use your creative ideas to help solve problems that people in your community have. And I do that with the connections I have. And I that's why I think that's why I decided to run. And I'm so excited that people believed in my message. My message was authentically, I'm here, I'm who I am. I didn't change one thing about who I was. I showed up in that space just this way with the vulnerability I have. And I know people all talk about vulnerability and Brene Brown, but every day before I had anything that was stressful, I'd listen to Brene Brown. I'd listen to some Hall & Oates, because I'm a Gen Xer girl, and I would show up just like I am today.
Okay, now I'm never going to think of Hall & Oates the same, because who doesn't love some Hall & Oates first thing in the morning?
Right. Right. I hope that nothing happens to change what people think of Hall & Oates, because they really have been my jam through the pandemic.
So, Sarah, I watched your campaign, and I know that you did a lot of talking with the residents, as many of those who were campaigning for City Council did. Sarah, what were some of the issues that the residents shared with you as you were knocking on those doors or having those small salons where you're speaking with people?
So my district is a really interesting district, and I think we'll probably get into that, but it's diverse because it's separated geographically by water on one side of Commencement Bay to the other side of Commencement Bay. So the issues were different. I'd be in Northeast Tacoma, and I'd hear they're worried about the roads. I'd go to the other side of town, and I'd hear things they're concerned about home in Tacoma, what that will make, what will their city look like when we pass home in Tacoma. They're concerned about the climate, about, what's happening with climate change, what's the city doing, what will you do about the environment. Those were the big things I heard about. I would say home in Tacoma was a lot of the time that we spent. I heard a lot about affordable housing. I'd hear about the homeless crisis, but it was a different kind of conversation. It was like, we care and we want people to find housing. So that was the conversation I had while I was running for office.
Yes, absolutely. And that conversation is ongoing, as we all know. You just mentioned something that I want to expand on. District 2, which includes, part of downtown Tacoma, Stadium District, Old Town, Northslope, the Port of Tacoma, and Northeast Tacoma. That's a huge expanse of a territory. What are the challenges? You've mentioned kind of the difference of when you were campaigning, but what are the challenges of representing such a diverse district?
It's interesting. I just had that question from Marshall McClintock. He is somebody who's really involved on the North Slope. And we were out touring his district this weekend, Council Member Hines and I. And I would say that I'm going to say exactly the same thing. I just showed up authentically me. I just act the same way on both sides of the water. I don't tell them one story over here and another story over there. I just meet them where they are. So my neighbors over in Northeast Tacoma care about different things because they are geographically separated. They feel left out of the conversations. They feel like they're paying property taxes, not getting anything. I just listen to them and meet them where they are. On the other side of the water, they have more of the city issues. And so it's really just listening to people. And I have a policy that I will let everyone know. If you are one of my constituents, you are number one. If you reach out to me, I will meet with you. If I can't meet with you in person, I'll meet with you virtually on the phone. But I'm going to always listen to what your concerns are. All I ask is that you find a way to talk to me respectfully, because that's how I'm going to talk to you. So that's what I do. I just meet with people.
I love that. And we've been showing the website below your beautiful face that I know that people can contact you through. You have maintained, Sarah, a steady focus on equity in all of your work, whether it's with the Tacoma Human Rights Commission or the board and associated ministries. Sarah, I'm going to be very clear and very transparent. I'm a white woman of privilege. You are also a white woman of privilege. Why is equity so important to you in terms of being on these boards and what you do?
I think it's important, and I'm really glad that you brought this question up because it's one that we could kind of sweep under the rug, but I'm not going to let you, and you're not going to let me. I think it's my girlfriend Janet. She was on a path before I was of reading all of these Black authors, getting involved in the conversation on racial equity. And I just did it a different way than she did. I got involved civically. And I think that it's about showing up. It's about showing up, taking a space, and then seeing who's not at the table and making sure that we add those spaces. I always think about it as a boardroom, and it's not about adding the right number. It's about adding what needs to be there based on what you're hearing. And I think in our community, we hear loud and clear that we have a history of redlining. We have things that I'm not proud of, that nobody should be proud of, what happened to the Chinese back in the day. Different populations that have been ostracized. There's a lot of anti-Semitism happening right now. And I am a Jewish woman from Temple Bethel. And I can tell you that you need to show up every day with your values, and you need to include those who don't have a voice. And I'm not the one to have the voice. I'm the one to just show up, make sure that happens. And then I get to move away from the conversation and allow that to take place. So I hope I don't always get it right. I am not perfect, but I'm a work in progress trying to navigate this. Any of you out there who are struggling with this conversation, it's an uncomfortable conversation. It's okay to be uncomfortable, but it's not okay to sit back and just not get active and learn about things. I behoove everyone out there to learn more about the Human Rights Commission. I know that they had openings for the Human Rights Commission. If you're at all interested, you should apply. The information is on the city's website. You can send an email to me. I will send you the information, but we're always looking for good people who care about their community to get involved in these issues. And our commissions are a good way to do that.
They are. The commissions are the best way to understand how to move things within the city of Tacoma cohesively. I know that there are many, because Sarah, when you wake up, it's not a matter of what are your top 3 goals. It's a matter of how are you going to get all those goals together, because you don't sit still. So Sarah, what are your top 3 goals that you'd like to focus on as Council Member Rumbaugh?
Well, this is an interesting question, because I think that the goals that I have are kind of being a little sidelined right now because we have some larger issues happening. So for instance, there was arson in our city last night. So as a council member, we sort of have to take up the issues in front of us. I would say one of the issues we're dealing with is crime. In an uptick in crime. That is not really an issue I ran on. I think everyone cares about public safety, but I have an idea that I believe that we could do a good job with that. And we aren't able to meet the need of our community right now. We just hired a new chief of police. That's really exciting. I think he's going to do a good job. And I think that we have issues with a crisis with our business community, feeling that their needs aren't being met. We've had a lot of things happen with business and nonprofits. I have a lot of nonprofits in my district who have clients who can't come to their business because they're too scared because of the things that are happening. And that's unfortunate, because there are places like the Rainbow Center, the Oasis Center, Rebuilding Hope. These are all organizations trying to help people who are in some way disadvantaged in our community and need the support that we give them. So those are things I'm working on. What I want to be working on is solutions to housing, affordable housing, more work on home in Tacoma. I want to work on our environment. I care deeply about what happens with our Port of Tacoma and the future that we set up as green energy moves into our community. So those are the things I want to work on, but I have to work on what is in front of me based on what I'm hearing from our community and my constituents.
I love that. I love that you have every day you have an ear to the ground, which informs you about how you prioritize what it is you are accomplishing. Council Member Rumbaugh, you are delightful. Thank you so
Thank you.
much for being here, for taking time out of your busy schedule. I want to have you back sooner than later because
I want to come back. Invite me
Good.
back. We'll talk about what we're doing on our commissions. I am actually on the committee, CVS, that actually looks at commissions, and we do the interviews. And so I'd love to come back and talk about that.
Well, then it's a date. Sarah,
All right.
Thank you so very much for being here today.
Thank you.